This is Xander Breach, and this is Before the Journey, My Early Childhood, Part 14. Before I continue, I must ask you to please watch parts 1 through 13. If you watch it now, you will be very much so lost. Also, I apologize for the long wait of Part 14. I know y'all have been waiting patiently, and I thank you for that. So let's get on to the recap of Part 13. In Part 13, we find out that I used to strangle my brother. And we also find out that I learned mostly about my temper from doing that to him. We also find out that beforehand that I'm a terrible babysitter, according to my mom. And the fact is, I was supposed to babysit my brother, and I let him leave early. It made my mother furious. She said I would be held responsible if anything happens to him. Supposedly at the age of 10, I may add. And, I got lucky, nothing happened. I also talked about Easter, which was the last big celebration I had with my stepdad, which was Easter. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into part 14. So, after Easter, it was still early 1997. During this time, we were going to school, my brother and I, and finishing up with the school year. I was finishing 4th grade. My brother, I believe, was finishing kindergarten, our 1st grade. So, truth be told, actually he was finishing kindergarten, I stand corrected. So, truth be told, what we didn't know, my mother, myself, and my brother, that this was going to be a summer to remember, from the good and the bad. When the school year finished, we started our summer of 97, basically doing what we normally do. Playing outside, going to see movies, and of course, this time going on my stepdad's fishing trips. I think, all in all, I learned going on those fishing trips that I sucked at fishing. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Honestly, I preferred to stay home and watch cartoons. Watch cartoons or go to the movies. I did not like to go fishing with my stepdad. But he wanted family get-togethers, so I had to respect that. One fishing trip I went on with him, I literally caught a catfish. Yeah, I did. Surprisingly, he didn't want the catfish because they're too hard to clean. But practically that's all I caught. I didn't catch grouper. I didn't catch any of the fish he wanted. So that was one fishing trip. Another fishing trip we went on, we ended up getting a toy, which would later happen, but I'm going way ahead of myself. But that was one fishing trip. We ended up going to the movies like 3 or 4 times. We went to the movies to see a remastered version of the first Star Wars movie ever made. You know what it is. A New Hope, Star Wars Episode 4. yeah, in 97, they brought it back to theaters and we all went to go see it in theaters. May I add, it was an epic experience going to see that movie in theaters. Epic experience. That is a 70s classic on the big screen. Who wouldn't want to go? And I was lucky that I got to be a part of an epic experience like that and go see a 70s classic. 70s classic on the big screen. We also went to see Batman and Robin. Yep, the fourth Batman movie made from the 80s to 90s series. In Batman and Robin, you have Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Mr. Freeze. You have George Clooney playing Bruce Wayne / Batman. You have Chris O'Donnell reprising his role as Dick Grayson / Robin. You have Alicia Silverstone playing Barbara / Batgirl. And you have Uma Thurman playing Dr. Isley / Poison Ivy. Pay real close attention because Poison Ivy would later become my mother's favorite Batman villain. But we'll get to that later. So, yeah, we went and saw that movie and it was awesome. Any 90s classic we saw in theaters when I was a kid was always awesome because during that time, those movies were brand spanking new. And just being there to just in the moment of when these 90s classics were new and watching them on the big screen was a phenomenal experience. I hope one day if they ever bring any of those classics back to the theaters, take advantage of it because it's awesome on the big screen. I kid you not. So we went and saw that movie. And then I guess it was another fishing trip. Probably one fishing trip we went on, and I have pictures too. We went on a fishing trip and my stepdad probably didn't find much, fish that day, but he did find something to decorate the front of, the house on the outside of the roomy belt. So he found some wood. He brought it on the boat. We all went, me, my stepbrother, my brother, my mom, and of course my stepdad and a few of his friends. I don't know how many places we went on fishing trips. My stepdad knew the hot spots to find all the fish. But this fishing trip, there wouldn't be much fish to find. That last fishing trip, there wasn't much fish to find. We got a little toy where it's a little alligator head and you push this little trigger and it opens the alligator head. Like it opens the mouth of the gator. I acted silly with it and made a lot of noise. My mother got annoyed on the boat. I got a picture showing her face. We're all having fun, having the time of our lives, but my mother was starting to get headaches. And this is probably during the time she wasn't, she was starting to not feel good. She's been getting a lot of headaches. She's been getting aggravated. You know, I mean, pictures even show her getting aggravated in 97. But we all went on the boat. We had fun. We got to see some pretty sights, some animals. I enjoyed myself. And, you know, I tried to enjoy myself, but like I said, me and fishing just doesn't mix. But my stepdad wanted to do family time, so I couldn't complain. That's the thing, you know. If my stepdad wanted to do it, we had to do it. No questions asked. I also recall the last movie we saw with him. The last movie we would go and see would be an eye-opener for me. And when I mean eye-opener, I mean an eye-opener. Excuse me. And I don't mean just a small eye-opener, I mean a big eye-opener. Like, seriously. This movie would open my eyes to show me why it's important not to strangle my brother. So, what happened is, how can I say this? We go to see the movie. The movie is Anaconda. Surprisingly, by this time, I'm already getting used to watching creature features. You know, if you grew up in the 90s or you know about Anaconda or you've been scared to watch Anaconda, you know it's about these big snakes that come and attack these animals and these people. Like, these people do an animal educational TV episode or an educational wildlife episode, and you have the host, you have the camera crew all together, but their trip gets postponed because they meet someone who brings to their point that they're close to anacondas. And he brings one of the anacondas on the boat, and as you can tell, that's the start of the people learning that anacondas are not to play with. It was one scene that opened my eyes, and I don't mean to spoil the movie for you. You'll have to watch it, but I'm just going to give you a clip. One scene in the movie, after this character, one of the female characters, loses her boyfriend, played by Owen Wilson, to an anaconda eating him. And the main villain, the human villain, played by Jon Voight, was responsible for that anaconda coming on their boat. So what happens is that she wants revenge. So she comes and she's ready to kill Jon Voight. She wants him dead for what he did to Owen Wilson. So here's where the eye-opening comes into play. Jon Voight notices she hesitates, trips her with his legs because he's tied to a pole. Literally tied to a pole. So this man uses his legs, and once she's on the floor of the boat, he grabs her with his legs and strangles her to death. When I saw that woman get strangled to death by Jon Voight's big legs, it scared me. And I thought to myself, that could be my brother if I don't get a grip on bringing this habit of strangling him to an end. As soon as her character dies, my mother whispers in my ear and she says, "See? That's what happens when you strangle somebody." And I replied, I'm like, "Yeah, I do." My eyes widened as I saw that scene. So, who would have thought a creature feature would literally be like the example I need to know what happens when you strangle someone? So I would say that was a little educational for me. And I was watching a movie I really wasn't supposed to be watching. The movie also had Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, Eric Stoltz, and Jonathan Hyde. You know Jonathan Hyde from the Jumanji 1995. He played Alan Parrish's dad. He also was in the movie Richie Rich. He played Cadbury, the butler of, Richie Rich and his family. So he was in there too. It's basically an all-star cast. And for me, I love the movie. Don't get me wrong, I love it. It will remain a 90s classic to me. But we went to see it because my stepdad's been wanting to see it for a while. And I didn't mind seeing it. Like I said, I'd rather go to the movies than, than just basically go fishing. So after that, I think that's when my stepdad gradually started getting sick himself. We went to my Mimi's house a lot, so my stepdad and my mom can have their private time. We saw a lot of movies with Mimi. Mimi came and lived with us for a bit after staying with my aunt. I think I ended up seeing Beavis and Butthead Do America with my Mimi. She didn't mind playing it for us. And, it was off and on with Mimi. Mimi was living with my aunt somewhere with her with her son and her son's family, or I think it was her daughter, I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure that out. But my aunt tagged along and joined Mimi and living with her in a little in-law suite. They didn't stay long because they ended up moving back around the time my stepdad started to get really sick. And I'm telling you, this is where things started to gradually go downhill for us. We didn't know what was in store for us. Truthfully, we didn't know what to expect. But I do know one thing. We were in for the biggest surprise of our lives. And yeah, I apologize if this video was shorter than I thought. I didn't intentionally mean for it to be short. But also keep in mind, I didn't have a lot to tell. But I do know one thing, this was probably the cleanest part I had. Because most of the parts I've done so far did have language in it. I can honestly say there was a lot of cussing during that time. Of course, I got cursed out a lot. Stepdad cursed me out. My mom cursed me out. Heck, even my aunt maybe cursed a little. I always remember my mom always saying she'd beat our ass when she's mad at us. And I also recall basically we lost all our toys in our room too. Yeah. We didn't clean our room. My mom said, "You're going to have all your toys taken out." First time around, we had our room cleaned before she could make her plans, and she canceled her plans. Second time around, and this is when my stepdad was still alive too. Second time around, she came back. Our room was a disaster. She stuck to her plans. We begged her, and she's like, "I told you. All these toys are going to go to the garage because you guys can't keep your fucking room cleaned." Yeah, that's exactly what I remember her saying. So yeah, my mom did that to us. It was hard at first, but we got used to it. We managed. But yeah, I do remember in '97, we lost all our toys and it went to the garage. A lot of memories thrown in the garage. We never begged her. We were upset. Want another chance? No, she wasn't going to give it to us. And we weren't going to beg her either, so what's the use? And yeah, this part's no longer clean because I had to add something. So it's not the cleanest part. I'm sorry if you were getting your hopes up or I got your hopes up. So, with that said, that's it for part 14. When I get to part 15, it's going to be a little longer. Because now we're going to be getting into my stepdad's sickness. Unfortunately, what happens to him, I can't tell you exactly what happens to him, but something happens to him. We're getting into his sickness and what his sickness causes and the cause of his sickness. You know, what happens after the cause. Some of y'all can figure it out. Some of y'all already know because I told you. But other than that, I look forward to seeing you next time. Y'all take care and God bless you.